You are now listening to the Motivational Mentors Podcast with your hosts, Luke Burrows.
Touch on morning routines. I think people have to find something that works for them.
And Arsenio Buck.
Hey, Arsenio, let's go party. Hey, party. If someone asked me to party right now, Luke, come on. What the hell's a party? What? A party for what? Guys, welcome back to Motivational Mentors. I'm your host, Arsenio, as usual. And today, both Luke and I, my sidekick, Luke, what's going on, Luke? And anyways, Luke and I, we have brought on the wonderful, the one, the only, the sociologist, the author, the everything, the most wonderful human being on the face of the planet. Her name is Isabel Hunt. Isabel, thank you so much for coming on. How you doing?
I'm speechless. I have to live up to that now. That's like a task for today.
No, I have to live up to that because I'm the other host. So like if people go back and listen to all the episodes that I've introduced and then listen to Arsenio's, it's like it's like no comparison. Whatever.
And it's great because today's actually the first day that Luke and we've actually launched our little video. And this is going to be coming on a couple of other episodes leading up to further on. This is going to be good. Luke and I are pumping out an insane amount of content now. So nonetheless, Isabel, man, thank you so much for coming back on.
Yes, I always love talking to you guys, as you can tell. Through your page, through Facebook, it's like, oh, and Isabel said this too, and Isabel said that.
And it's crazy. I'm telling you, it's real crazy on the Facebook because you always see what's happening in my life. You're like, oh, damn. Oh, okay. Can't imagine. So today's topic, nonetheless, is depression. Oh, my goodness. So, Isabel, you know it all. These are some good things. There's a lot of areas we're going to be diving into. So, take it away. You laid the foundation, and Luke and I, we're just gonna guide you through this mist.
All right. Well, how about that? There are going to be a lot of people who don't exactly know who I am yet. So as Arsenio said, my name is Isabel Hunt. I am a sociologist. That is actually my profession. Sometimes people are like, are you sure? Like, did you just make that up? I'm like, no, I actually studied that. No, that is my profession. I'm also a speaker and an author of my book, The Power of Faith-Driven Success, and a transformation coach. I mostly work with very highly sensitive people. So that means that I have a lot to do with clients who suffer or are challenged. I don't even like the word suffer, who are challenged with depression and anxiety. And if it comes really down to it, a lot of them also have panic attacks, which is like the last form of it when your body totally shuts down. But and most of my speaking, most of my work revolves around emotional awareness. So we're talking about not just emotions itself, but also labels and stigmas that we have created that keep us confined in a specific box so that we actually might have depression because of no longer fitting in certain boxes. So that might be something we're going to get to as well, probably within the conversation. But yes, today you guys asked me to talk about depression in particular. Anyone who's interested in listening to other topics, like Arsenio and I, we had talked about social stigmas and race and all this fun stuff, which was an incredible episode right there. And we have talked in general about on this podcast, I think it was right before about my work and how emotional awareness helps us to function and be more socially and therefore more successful, active.
Yeah, I think that was beginning of the year, was it? Or was that last year? No, beginning of this year?
No, I think it was the beginning of this
March?
Yeah,
Right,
I think so.
Right.
I think so, yeah. And there we spoke a bit more about your work and that. So
Yes.
today we're going to be focusing on niching down, I suppose. But yeah, I like what you said about you don't like the word like suffered, because I'm exactly the same. When people say I'm suffering from depression or something, I don't know, I just don't like that word. So so you use challenge.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I don't know if I wrote an article. Well, it was supposed to be a speech, and I didn't get in for that event, so I just reused that speech.
I'm gonna boycott. I got you. I got you. I'm boycotting.
My editor, and I said, "You put it into an article. It's called Finding My Worth in the Struggle," and where I talk about how I used myself as an example in particular, and I made it sound like we're all part of the anonymous struggleholism group. I literally, the whole speech was around, hey, thank you for joining the struggleholism support group, and then explained why some of those happen. So I think in if anyone's interested, just look it up on my website under blog, isabelhunt.com blog, under resources blog. But it has been really interesting how we as a society have become so addicted to suffering in general, because it especially within the American culture, I have realized, if it's not extreme enough, we don't feel like we're being seen. It's literally a programming in our brain that we think gives us the attention that helps us to be seen. Like, if I share all about my suffering, then people can relate to me more. If everything would go right in my life, then people would be like, oh, you're just making that stuff up, it's ain't not true, and I can relate to you, do you not have any struggles? That's not the point. The point is the focus. And most of us are so focused on what is wrong with us that we use that as our identity. And when we start using it as our identity, it becomes our story. And then we have a story to share with the world. Because as you know, most of the stories that people feel very drawn to share are suffering stories, right?
Yeah, so that's interesting because I suppose a little bit like in the entrepreneurial world, but just in general with like people I've connected with, and that you get to hear their quote unquote their story. So do you like recommend people share their story, or yeah?
No, it is the way how people share
how it. Okay, yeah makes sense.
It's about how to share it. If you constantly okay, as an example, I really wanted to speak at a women's conference. They didn't reach out to me, even though I had talked to them a couple of times. And I went to 2 of their events, and every time I said to the organizer, can we please have people on stage that not just share their suffering story? Because in the end, it sounds, especially when it's a more religious event where it's about the more we suffer, the more we are followers of Christ, for example. That is very, very present in the Christian world. And I also said, the more people talk about and revisit that, the more they re-invite that illness back in, because like we know, everything is energy, right? And what I always hear after those conferences where people share their horrendous stories of what they've gone through, and that doesn't mean that I diminish their experience or anything, but what comes out to is the message: if you don't suffer enough, then you are not actually living your life. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It is about the focus of the message. Like, I'm pretty much an open book. I share almost everything that I've gone through, but my focus is on what have I learned from that. Not being attached to the actual message, I'm not, if you watch, at least I hope I don't do that, but if I ever talk about certain things that have happened to me, it's not like, poor me, oh my gosh, now please just tell me that you love me and that I'm doing great. I mean, if I want that, I need to be honest about it and say, hey, I really could need some encouragement right now. Can someone please see me or acknowledge me for who I am? That would really support me right now, instead of doing a sob story and then hoping that people will respond accordingly. And like, I'm sending you so much love and hug. If I really want the acknowledgement, I need to ask for it. It's about how we communicate, and subconsciously we're driving that pattern in our brain that suffering is actually something honorable. It's something we need to celebrate, but honoring something does not equal celebration. Like, for example, with depression, who of us 3 has not gone through that yet? We all have, and mostly situational depression, right? And there are so many different stages and different kind of depression that need to be acknowledged, where we can't just say, oh, everything is just the same and we're taking too many medications, right? We can't do that either. We need to acknowledge that there are different kinds. But with situational depression, we can honor what we experience, but most of us celebrate what we experience. Like, we have to share our story to save other people. We're not the hero here. We're not the saviors. If we share our story, it's about reflection, not saving. Because if we try to save someone from their experience, we might take away the experience that they need for their soul to learn the lesson to be able to move forward. And I've learned that from my son. My son is 5, and when he was younger, every time he didn't feel well, he was like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy." And one night I went to bed and I was like, "He always just calls for you and he doesn't feel good." I'm like, "I know, I don't know why." And he's like, "You want to know why? Because you want him to feel better, and therefore you take on his stuff. You take his experience away from him that he needs to actually learn through some of the situation that he goes through, even at this very young age." And so we do that too in the entrepreneurial world. I'm your savior. If you don't work with me, well, then don't come and blame me after, right? Like, if you have those manipulative marketing messages, and the same comes to emotional health or mental health in general. I'm telling you my story and how I was suicidal or how I was very depressed. And most of us then offer a solution with that. And this is how I got out of it. But in the end, it's like this hero syndrome subconsciously. I don't think many of us actually do it consciously. It's subconsciously that we want to save the world. And if our story will save the world, then that's what we're going to do. We're not here to save. We're here to reflect. Each one of us need that story.
Yes. So what's the difference between like helping somebody then and becoming that like hero, like you were talking about?
It depends on how you use the wording. A lot of us say, I help people. I say, I support people. Helping has a subconscious indication of that there's something wrong with you. Supporting, there's a subconscious understanding of, I'm here to support you on whatever you're going through right now. I am with you. I see you. I choose to be with you. And I also acknowledge that you need to work through whatever you're going through so you learn the lesson so that you can evolve from that on a soul level. And that doesn't mean that we can't say, I help you. Like, for example, if someone drops something or you want to help an older lady carry her groceries upstairs or something, that is helping. You're not just watching saying, hey, I support you now. Good job carrying that upstairs, right? Help. So it depends on in what context you're using that as well. Hey, I want to share this story because I want to support you on, maybe there's something that you can reflect on in what I'm sharing, and not just, hey, I'm here to help you. I help you to get better. Well, what if that person is not meant to in that very moment because they haven't learned the lesson yet? Does that make sense?
That's huge. Absolutely. You know what's so, like, when, let's say I'm getting ready to go to Ho Chi Minh City to do this foundation, I need to go there under the mindset that I am here to support these poor children, not to help them.
You are, well, helping often, if you look at how help is being often used in a social standard, or like with a within the sociology area, like where we have all the labels and stigmas, it's always about assuming that they cannot help themselves, right? Like, even poor children, we need to feed them, we need to clothe them, and that's great because they are children. However, we also need to support them and being able to sustain that for themselves eventually, to help them or to support them in learning how to do those things, even at that very early age. How can we support them in growing their own food and learning about food? How can we support them in learning about how maybe there are ways to to cover the fundamental needs. Most of the time we enable that helpless position that people are in. We do it politically with third world countries. Why do we call them third world countries? Because we feel we have power over them. There is enough food for everyone out there. However, most governments choose to withhold that because if they can enable the helplessness instead of supporting them in figuring out for themselves, we have power over them.
Yeah, it makes sense just like thinking about it. And so, yeah, I mean, you mentioned there, then it becomes more sustainable, right? So I think, like, could you talk about that a bit more, if possible? And like, yeah, because I think that that's important, because if we're helping people and then, like, you know, for some reason maybe we're not there anymore, then if it doesn't come from them, then they're just going to fall back down, aren't they? Into position that they was before. So I think then, you know, if they always need us around to help them, then like you say, it's not sustainable.
Right. But we make ourselves dependent. You will need me, therefore I will make money. Right? A lot of entrepreneurs do that. If we help, like, there's a difference between, like, if you have a marketing company, I help you to set up your funnel. It's something that is being done. Once it's done, it's done. I help you to write content. That is something tangible. When it's done, it's done. However, like within the social, the mental and emotional state, if we use help, most likely you make the client dependent on you so that you can continue to sustain your business, right? In my coaching training for all of this year, every day, they made sure that we know eventually you will have to coach people out of your relationship. You want them to be able and capable on their own. But if we look at mental health, we don't do that worldwide. We set them up so that they're dependent on something. If it's medication, if it's therapy, and which therapy is totally nothing bad about it. It's great. I actually work with a lot of people who do both coaching and therapy. It works awesome hand in hand because both has its benefits. I work with people who are therapists as well. And so it really is just taking a step back from everything and not getting like literally sucked into the whole conversation and being aware of what am I actually doing? What are my true intentions of doing this work? Most entrepreneurs, they help because they want to make money. They support because they want to really enable people to get it on their own, to empower communities, to empower nations, to empower groups of people so that we can find solutions in creating more of a peaceful with each other. Can you tell it's early still? Peaceful with each other. So it's just, we have to become more aware of how we use words and our true intentions behind that. And that's where emotional awareness comes in. Why am I doing certain things the way I do? If I'm really honest with myself, do I want to work with this client because I know they have money and I can create it to the point where they continue working with me? It's a safe client. Or am I really supporting a person because I feel I really want them to succeed? I really do. And so it's not so much dependent on how much they're capable of paying. Now you can't make that sustainable every time, right? You do attract the people that you need to work with. I always say not that you want to work with, that you need to work with, because there's something for you to learn in that, right? So it's definitely an awareness piece. And especially when it comes to mental health, depression, you will see that the more people talk about it, the more people become depressed. Has anyone figured that out? Like the more people like, we need to talk more about suicide. We need to talk more about depression to normalize it. Why do we have to talk about it the whole time to normalize things? Can we just accept it and honor it? Can we just figure out what is really behind it instead of just talking about how we're all suffering?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think, just on that, like, there is a lot of talking, but then is there a lot of like help, sort of supporting people to like they don't like get to those places, if that makes sense, because like, and actually taking action on it. I don't know if you agree, like, yeah, people can talk about it all day, but does that actually support people? Like, does that make sense? Like, if there's chat shows or something and they just talk like,
I'm gonna be real honest and real direct with you. It does support people. It supports us all, because then we can all feel part of a pity party.
right.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have like a suffer party going on. Oh, now I don't feel so alone. Because within the global, how we have created our society, especially with the internet and globally coming more together, yet people feel more lonely than ever. We find we're desperate for finding things that bond us. And right now, because there's so much opportunity that we have in becoming successful, whatever success means to you, that's not always monetary, right? But there's a lot of competition going on. At the same time, the more competition is going on, the more lonely people feel. But we have this natural instinct in wanting community. So we need to find something that is different from what we compete with. So we find the suffering part, because the suffering doesn't interfere with how we see success. Because the more we suffer, that means the more we put work into it. We work really hard. We work so hard that we're suffering, and that needs to be acknowledged.
And so I want to ask you something real quick, because I was just listening to, of course, David Goggins, and he is not, I could tell by his demeanor, by everything, this man is just not a very happy person. Like, he just keeps talking about suffering, and people need to immerse themselves into suffering. And yes, there is a little bit of a message after that saying, so what are you going to do about it now? But I think he kind of wants people to begin that suffering. And Tom Billy is probably another one who says you need to work your ass off. You need to go through, work through all this and suffer this and that. And I'm like, ugh. And so that's one part. Another part is something that I do, okay? I do the Spartan races. My body loves to go through that pain, but I feel the growth at the same time. I build myself mentally, physically, psychologically. Like, I'm a new person after some of these races. You know what I mean? It's not because I'm trying to overcome something anymore, because, of course, quite a few other people have helped me with getting over those limiting beliefs. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this suffering thing, and, people say, you gotta suffer. I think this is you gotta tell these people,
if you
man.
just listen to it and you feel into the words, when you say suffer, what do you feel? That's a question to both of you. Like, when you hear the word suffer, how does it feel to you?
Yeah, kind of like drugs, like you just feel kind of down, like a pulling,
resent, guilt,
like down,
hell, right?
Pain.
Yeah.
If you hear the word challenge, what do you hear? What do you feel? How does that feel to you energetically?
Physicality. It's all about the physical. When I hear challenge, I hear physical.
Doesn't have to be. Could be mentally as well, emotionally. It could be growth on any level. Challenge is more like an upward.
Yeah, that's why
battle.
I feel.
Not battle. Battle is also the right. It's the journey upward. It's moving forward, where the suffering is in the moment. I think it's one reason why I decided not to become a counselor in the end. That was my goal. I wanted to get my license, because what I noticed was it just felt like always talking about the problem, talking through the problem, not knowing that we're actually subconsciously imprinting the suffering as something that is actually good, that feels good in the moment, that makes us feel safe, because we at least know what to expect. A challenge is towards the unknown. What are we going to expect after that? I don't know. What happens once I move through this depression? I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Like, where am I getting outside of my comfort zone after I move through this stage in my life? And because the unknown is often if no, or experience this worse than just staying in the suffering, we use suffering.
Yeah. So
Because
what?
the challenge, you sometimes you're like, oh, there's not everyone going with me, but with the suffering, oh, you have this nice pool
Yeah.
going with you.
Yeah. I completely feel that like suffering is something that like pulls me down, but challenge is something like you say, it's
Yeah.
like that upwards thing.
You have direction instead of suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering is kind of like you're in melancholy and you're just like in quicksand and there's no way out.
Right.
But challenge it is kind of like, you're lowering your shoulders, you're strapping on your helmet, and you're just weeding your way through. You know what I mean?
And that doesn't have to even be the case. A challenge could also be just saying, hey, you know what? I need to ask for help. Suffering, it is not bad to stay in this place for a little bit, just to stay in it, to be with it, whatever shows up. Whatever it is, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now. I really feel low. I really feel unmotivated. Is it actually something related to a face? Am I just in my head? Because if you take a look at situational depression, we all have gone through it, especially when things get a little tough or don't work out the way they are. Have you ever examined your thoughts when you are in those situational depressive phases? I know from myself, most of my thoughts are, I'm not good enough. I will never be able to do that. There is no way out. And what that actually leads back to is suppressed anger. We're angry about this didn't work out. Fuck. Don't say it. You don't hear me cuts very often, so enjoy.
I know. That sounds like woohoo. I was like, yeah, come on.
But it's suppressed anger. A lot of times we try to purvey a certain picture to the outside. We need to be strong. We need to adapt to the picture of success. And if something doesn't work out, then we often get into that unmotivated, isolated, sad state of being, right? And then we tend to drown in it because we don't examine what we're actually thinking. We just are so focused on how trapped we feel that we're not looking at what's actually really going on. What do I need to release? What kind of anger? Now, of course, there are different, I mentioned that before, there are different kinds of depression. And something could be related hormonal. So if you think it is situational and you really have examined the things and you have worked through some of the thoughts that you have, like, oh, is that fact or is that just made up? Like what I'm thinking, like, am I ever good enough or am I good enough? There might be something that you have to check out from a doctor, like, hey, I really can't seem to get out of this funk. I really done the work, but I feel like it's more physical. There's something going on. It could be hormonal. The reason why so many young people also get depressed or are diagnosed with depression and anxiety is because overstimulation of the nervous system. When your body is absolutely overstimulated, that could be environmental, that could be food, that could be chemicals in any kind of cleaner that you use, in your detergent, in your skincare, in your healthcare products. It could be technology. Everything is just coming at you, right? I actually have an EMF protector on my phone. That helps. I still need one for my computer because that actually has a bigger impact on me. Or it literally could be air quality. We all know that we feel worse. The air is really bad outside. It's overstimulation of the nervous system, and that needs to be examined. Where am I totally overstimulated? How much TV am I watching? How much am I on social media? Because social media can make us depressed as well. And then we go and get antidepressants because, well, everyone is depressed on social media. So we, of course, need medication, right? So we're getting right back into that vicious cycle. So it takes a lot of awareness, and we need to snap out of it. We need to break the cycle. If we as a society finally want to move forward and end the suffering that is unnecessary in a lot of cases, in a lot of plastics. Okay, I have to admit, I have a big plastic bottle. Mostly because my son broke my glass bottle. It fell. And that was the only one I just had. But plastic, especially when they're sitting in the sun a lot, they release petrochemicals. Petrochemicals and plastic are hormone disruptors. So anything with plastic, and we're using everything. I don't anymore use much plastic, but it's a lot. It's in everything. Those are hormone disruptors that can cause imbalance within your body, hormonal imbalance, that needs hormonal support, but that also means that we have to cut back on plastic products in general. Anything, like especially do not put water in your plastic bottle and leave it out in the sun. It leaches chemicals. Like those kind of things. Soy. A lot of vegans, especially young people who go vegetarian or vegan, eat soy products. Ladies, do not eat soy. It is a hormone disruptor, especially over a long period of time. And I know that because my husband is a naturopath. So I can work on all ends here. We're a really great team when it comes to that. It really is very beneficial to my own work. So those are things to just think about. What do you eat? Processed food can totally throw off your whole body balance, and your body is so busy trying to get rid of toxins that you can't think clear. When you can't think clear, you feel unmotivated. You isolate yourself because you can't keep up with everyone else. Then you get into, oh my gosh, now I'm not good enough because I'm not doing the work. I'm always tired. Now you fall into depression, right? Do you see the vicious cycle that we have created in our society that causes depression? Now, there's the other more severe ones that really do need intervention, medical intervention. Sometimes I always say, if you really just need something that doesn't make you feel like a zombie, that can help you medically, do it. But know that it's temporary and not permanently. If you make yourself dependent on those medications, you will never get out of that cycle. You will always depend on pharmacy. What if something happens and none of those medications are suddenly available anymore? Just saying, it could. Something could happen. Or you realize, oh my gosh, everything has actually fed me poison. You know, there's so many truths coming out right now about pharmacy, environment.
Yes.
Where you think, oh my gosh, I took that for I don't know how many years. Oh my gosh, now no wonder I have all those health issues, It just all comes back to the basics. Are you outside enough? Do you get enough vitamin D? If you live in a country where maybe the sun is not shining as much, I'm talking to you people in England. No, I'm just kidding.
Boom, boom, shots fired.
No. But fish oil, fermented fish oil. I know it's not the most tastiest, but it's great for vitamin A and D. Just gobble a tablespoon with some orange juice and you're going to be fine. But that helps me through seasonal depression, especially during the winter when I get like kind of low energy because I'm missing the vitamin D. They say at least 80%, I think it was the number. Now don't hold me accountable to that number, but the majority of our population suffers vitamin D deficiency. So there is another reason for us, because that causes vitamin D deficiency causes depression. And the more and the longer we stay in a place of depression, the more we get into our head, and then it comes down to anxiety. That's usually the next step. You start to have anxiety because now you're revving yourself up within the depression because there's something wrong with me. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't handle this and I can't do this. And then, you can't breathe. And then you have an attack, a panic attack. That's when your body is like, all right, no, we're done now. Like, this is the total end. If you're not taking any actions now and you're not asking for help now, you will get to the state where I shut down, where your body will shut down. Your body speaks to you a very clear language every single day, and none of us is actually listening to it, because we all think, well, if I experience that, then there's something wrong with you. So of course, if there's something wrong with me, then I need help. And then we're looking for the people who can save us. But if we actually just say, oh, okay, this is what I feel, I can honor what I experience without celebrating it because I'm looking for peers who can come into my pity party. But if we really have the awareness, like, okay, I feel really depressed right now. I need to go inward. Where can I find support? Someone who can maybe give me some tools or some thoughts that I might be able to reflect on. If I don't have that, okay, maybe I have the awareness, okay, depressed. I feel somewhat unmotivated. Why is this? Okay, maybe I need to go for a run for once. My body is really telling me I need to go for a run. Okay, I really don't like it, but I think I should just do it, even if it's a slow run. So I'll do it. Those are thoughts that we can have that can break through this cycle, you know, because once you go for a run, exercise is great for someone who is depressed because it changes your whole body, like chemistry, your whole body chemistry is just changed. It brings you back. Just going for a walk in nature can be healing like nothing else. That's why we need nature. That's why we need an environment that works and is not poisoned, because otherwise we will never get back to balance. Everything is dependent on each other, and if we don't take care of it, we will suffer the most. Like, that's when we really suffer, because we won't be able to get out of it, because there's nothing there for us that can support us to get out. If we eat food that is poisoned back and forth and we can't find any food because there's no protection, how are we supposed to change things?
So if someone's listening right now, one of our listeners, and they are, experiencing these things, what would you recommend some of the steps that they take?
Well, for one, I wish medical therapists would be more trained in a holistic approach. I think it's becoming more, I see it more that therapists actually take more of a holistic approach before they go into medical and medical intervention. I think that is important. If someone doesn't have that support system and you're just sitting at home and you feel really depressed and you just don't even feel the motivation to do anything else, I think one thing is to write down. Make that choice, especially if you're listening, then you are ready to take at least one step. You're looking for support. You're looking for a way out. You just need to actually do it. If you're looking for it, then that means you're ready. So what you can do is just to write down, okay, I feel depressed. What are actually my thoughts related to the depression? How do I view myself? If I were to look in the mirror, what are my thoughts about myself? And most of the time, people will realize, I'm ugly, my hair looks stupid, I'm too fat, I'm not worth anything, I'm not successful, I'm not making any money. Those are usually the thoughts you have about yourself when you're in that kind of state, right? And when you write it down, if you're really honest with yourself, if you know you sabotage yourself and you're not honest with yourself, ask someone, even if it's a parent, like, hey, those are my thoughts right now. Can you please just help me so that I don't get trapped in it? And when you write down those thoughts, I'm like, are they true or are they just made up? Is it the truth or is it made up? And you'll see most of it is made up. No, actually, if I look at it from a different perspective, I look great. I just need to take a little bit more care of myself because right now I'm tired and I don't sleep and I don't wash my hair. Maybe I should take a shower for once. Right?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Water is very cleansing. So if you do suffer from, or if you do, are you challenged with depression? Cleansing. Go take a shower and just set the intention that the water that's coming out of this faucet is clearing the negative energy of your energy field. Just set the intention, or even have a prayer ready if that's for you. Like I always say, in the name of the Holy Spirit, I am accepting the water as cleansing my body from everything that no longer serves me, especially when I find myself in a state where I'm really like, where I get angry, where like, oh, everything just sucks. Like, that's what I do. It's the most simple way. Go outside and ground yourself. That's easy to do. You can open that door and go outside barefoot and stand on this earth and have a prayer. I'm like, I'm setting the intention that Mother Earth will rebalance my energy field. Grounding has been shown to be such a powerful tool and so simple. The reason is the earth itself, the soil is it's charged negative. I'm missing the exact word. I describe it in my book. I don't know why I'm missing it right now. The polar, tell me, come on, physics.
Don't ask
Quantum
me.
electronics.
I have no idea.
Yeah, don't ask me no physics. I ain't never studied that nonsense.
Come on, why am I missing a word right now? I talk about it all the time. It's negatively charged and positively charged. Come on, the polar, well, anyways.
Neutrons, protons, electrons.
Yeah, so
No.
stuff like
Sorry.
that. Well, anyways,
Sorry, that's all I got. That's the knowledge I have. I'm sorry.
Your core, your inner core, we call it the center of the heart. Your soul is always positively charged. When you have all those negative thoughts and all this taking on from the outside world, if it's through comparison, through expectations of yourself, of other people, that is all negatively charged. When you go outside and the earth is, the soil is already naturally negatively charged, you go outside, it's negative plus negative equals positive. So your body is back to balance in alignment with your soul. Now you have to do it more than once and more than 5 minutes, especially if your body is not used to that. It's a continuous work in progress. It's not a miracle thing with anything because it took you that long to get to the stage of where you're at right now. So it will take you a while to get out of that. Also, pay attention to what you eat all day. I know people who don't feel great, who feel slightly unmotivated or demotivated, is they tend to eat crappy food. If it's chocolate, if it's processed food, they go out to eat because they just don't feel like cooking. That needs a conscious choice. That needs an intention behind it. When you go grocery shopping, don't even buy any of that food, because then when you find yourself in that state of being, you can't grab it. It's not there. You can, like, if you do need some chips, get some organic that do not have any palm oil in it or any hydrogen, whatever is in there, ask my husband for that if you want more information.
Oh, you got to bring your husband on, huh?
So I don't think he would be up for that. He is more of the background person. But just pay attention to what you consume and what you buy. Like, it doesn't mean you have to avoid everything that you may like, but find something that may actually not have all the crap. My husband, the other day, we were eating a dip, not at our house because we don't have that stuff here, but someone else's house. I'm not gonna name names or point out who, but he looked at the ingredients and he said, would you go to the store and buy all those 50 ingredients just to make that dip? And it's just like, no. Then why would you eat it? Look at the ingredients. If you wouldn't buy all those ingredients to make that, don't eat it. Don't eat it, because then most likely your body is not even used to process it or doesn't even know. And when your body is busy trying to get rid of toxins, like I said, you feel cloudy, you feel tired because your body is just busy. You don't have room to think. And when you can't think and are tired, of course, you're like, getting in the state of funk. I can't function. There's something wrong with me. You see the cycle? There's just so much that we have to pay attention to. And I know for some people, like, oh, I don't even know where to start. This sounds like a lot. But here's the thing. Start somewhere. If it's go grocery shopping and just be more conscious about what you put in your cart. And we're like, is that really good for me or is it not good for me? If you're not sure if it's good for you, I'll teach you something. Do some muscle testing. Muscle testing is, and that takes a little practice because it really has you connected to your body. You have to trust yourself in that decision. But my son can do it. So if a 5-year-old can do it, a lot of more people can do it. So muscle testing is known to be whatever is in alignment with our body that is good in the moment for our body. Our muscles stay strong. There have been a lot of research done where they put a GMO apple in front of someone and then they muscle tested and their muscles got weak within an instant just looking at it. And then they put an organic apple in front of them, naturally grown from the tree, and their muscles stayed strong. So what you can do, you can do this with your fingers, like the index finger and the thumb. You put them and then you intertwine those two. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you ask yourself a question, Okay, guys, I'm gonna do it. I have coffee sitting here.
These are good visuals, huh, Luke? I like these.
I have coffee right here. Okay, it's organic coffee, so we'll see how it responds. But usually, coffee is not that great for my body. But I can ask myself, I can focus on the coffee and say, is this coffee good for me right now? Oh, actually, it works because this is actually really organic coffee. I don't have anything that I wouldn't.
So wait, you pull your fingers apart after you ask the question.
Yes.
So, is this cupcake good for me? Whack, and it'll just go apart, huh?
Oh yeah, my son did that at a Mexican restaurant for the chips. He loves those chips, and he's like, I feel kind of weird right now, mommy. And then he looks at the chips like, oh, those chips good for me. And it went through him like, I can't eat that anymore, mommy. I can't. He is so conscious about what he can eat. He's staying at my mother-in-law's right now, and she's not quite where we are at with healthy eating. So he's always very hesitant, but we bought him food. We said, here, we buy you food for the week. And when we came back with buying food for him, he's like, oh, all the food that I can eat. Thank you so much. Like, he's so aware of what he can eat. And if it doesn't mean that he doesn't eat chocolate every now and then. It's not like you can't splurge at times. Trust me, I'm addicted to German chocolate, so don't judge me. Not. But I also know when there is a limit, because the fun thing is, no, not the fun thing, but when I eat too much sugar, I get a really bad sore throat. That's my body telling me, okay, I think you need to stop eating that stuff, especially that your speaker, if you have a sore throat, it's not going to help you much on stage because your voice will be gone very soon. So it's my body speaking very clearly to me. But with anything, if you really want to practice that, or even if you feel overweight or whatever the health issue is, ask yourself, is this actually good for me right now? Something to increase the vibration of food, because everything has a frequency and vibration that helps too with depression, with any kind of emotional, mental distress. Bless the food. Oh, don't tell me it's a religious thing. No. What you do is, when you bless a specific food, even at a restaurant, because you don't know what people were thinking in the moment who made that food for you. They could have been totally angry about something, and they put that energy of anger on your food and you're eating it. You need to become aware of that. That's not a myth. There have been tests about that done. Bless the food for a reason, because you're increasing the vibration of the food. It's as easy as, I'm focusing on this food and I'm setting the intention to send love and light and bless this food to increase the vibration. All there is that to do. It makes a big difference in the way your body is absorbing food. In the way your body is aligning with that food. It has to work less, so you still think more clear. Like you can. We know that. Why do we get tired after we eat after lunch? Why we all need a nap? Because our body is busy digesting. Doesn't have more energy for your brain. That's why eating light food helps before you have to do anything mental, anything that requires your brain. Before exams, don't throw all the chips in your mouth. Don't eat all the heavy meat, because you will not be able to think. And then if you're not be able to think, then, oh my gosh, I just failed this exam. I'm just such a loser. Do you see where that is going again? Right? You see how we're so responsible for all of that? Pay attention to what's in your water. That's why so many native people fight for good water.
Yeah, I got the best
water. Really? Are you sure?
I know.
Like,
out here in Thailand, you got good water.
We think that too in America, but then you look at there's fluoride in it, because it's actually a disruptor, a brain disruptor. It has impact on your pituitary gland. So that pituitary gland is important for intuition. So it is interrupting our intuitive senses. Guys, toothpaste, do not buy the SLS-free, fluoride-free toothpaste, because it's the closest to your brain when you put it in your mouth.
So wait, what two? What do you wait? SLS free? What was
SLS
that
free,
again?
that's so very, I don't know the exact word for it. That's
So
something.
wait, so which one you use? You use Colgate? Is Colgate good or?
Oh
Well, I
no,
mean,
that's the worst. No, they have all of
what
that.
am I? I'm gonna brush my teeth with water. I don't know what to use. Isabel, help me. I don't know what to brush my
One, you
teeth
can use
with anymore.
charcoal with
Olive oil?
no, I use just, there's so many brands out there now that are more organic that have the SOS fluoride free.
Oh, okay.
Tom's is
SLS
good.
fluoride free.
We have Tom's. Just pay attention, like what you put in your mouth, what you put on your head. It's just as simple as that. I think what it comes down to, especially when it comes to even mental challenges, is consumerism. We think we need all that stuff. You would think that my bathroom is stacked with all those beauty products. It's not. I have like 2. I barely use any makeup. You see some lipstick on me. That's pretty much about it.
Do you have any makeup on right now?
Some of it, but not very much. I don't use much. It takes me 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But because I don't use much, because I drink enough water, because I don't eat all the crap, my skin, I don't have to cover stuff up. I don't have all the dark circles, you know? That's something else we just have to pay attention to. If we want to feel better, we will have to make changes in our consumerism behavior and not think we need all that. For my facial lotion, I use vitamin E, vitamin D oil. That's it. It lasts longer too. It's much better for you. Doesn't have all the fragrance in it. I know I'm really pissing people off right now because no,
I love it. I love it. You're giving it everything. Uh-huh.
But here's the thing: you can no longer blame anyone for the way you feel. If you're not taking a look at what you consume and how you consume and why you consume certain things, because maybe you want to keep up with the Joneses next door or with the next model in the newspaper and the magazine, you know, that is something to be aware of. If you're not taking actions and saying, hey, I actually do need help, and even if it's a friend, I'm like, I think I need help. And if we as a society not go and say, hey, you just asked me for support, I'm here for you. Not trying, oh, let me help you. Let me make you feel better. Or I don't have time to make you feel better right now. Sometimes all people need is a listening ear without any judgment. Just being seen. We as a society need to take responsibility for that as well as the individual. That's just fact. If we want to increase our mental health and emotional health, we all have to do our part. And we cannot just do the work for ourselves and forget the rest. We have to also hear people and not run into, no, you asked me for help. Now I have to take the time and I'm too busy. I can't do that now. When it would have taken 5 minutes to just listen, ask a reflective question, or say, hey, did that support you? I sometimes have clients that just talk for an hour. And I'm like, I didn't do anything today. What's up, man? Am I even a good coach? But at the end of the session, I'm like, did that support you today? I'm like, oh yeah, I feel so much better. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I'm like, I didn't really say a word, but that's all right. It helps sometimes just for people to talk through something in their head. I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. So there's responsibility on all ends. We have to take responsibility when it comes to environment. We have to take responsibility when it comes to food. We have to take responsibility when it comes to pharmacy, when it comes to beauty products. And then we have to pay attention to how we experience the world. And I know that is a lot. And if you just do one thing at a time, a day, you will be ahead of anyone who would never even listen to that or even want to take any actions, who rather drowns in that mental state of being. I know in the moment someone might just feel really judged. You don't know how I feel. I'm really stuck in that depressive phase. Like I just can't get out of it. No, I see you. I see you. But I'm also offering you thoughts and ideas and suggestions how you might actually be able to take on that challenge and move past that. no matter what that looks like. If that does mean temporary medication, so you just at least can think and then you can do the work, but just don't take the medication and then think everything is fine. It's not, right?
Right, definitely. I was saying, do you have any questions?
Boy, yeah, I mean, this will go on and on and on. I mean, I'm scared to ask anymore because we gonna go well over. Well, social media will have to be another episode, that's for sure, because that's
Don't get me
Isabel
started
would
on
go-
social media and people.
Yeah,
That's the problem for everything.
We're gonna have to shove that aside because that's another hour. I know that for sure.
I have my opinions on social media. It's actually not, it's not bad and it's not good. It's what we make it.
Neutral. Thank you, Luke. You've been saying that. I've been saying that. A lot of people have been saying that too. So,
Yeah.
hey man, it's just, I mean, like when it comes to depression in general, I still remember seeing that cartoon. That it's the cartoon photo with someone actually looking out at the sunset and the other one was looking towards the mountain. And it's saying, hey, you get to choose every day. It's the talisman, what Napoleon Hill has said. PMA or NMA, positive mental attitude, negative mental attitude. You've given them everything in terms of the food, in terms of the environment, going out in nature, getting the vitamin D from the sunlight, so many different things. If you're in a depressive state, is it because, you know, you're in a black place, you got the curtains are closed and your door's closed, there's no interaction with anyone, you're not putting your feelings out there and telling everyone about what's going on? There's just a variety of different things, but it's just taking that first step.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as go eat an apple.
Yeah.
Instead of the chips.
Hey, you got to do the intertwine thing too. You got to, you know,
Get away,
make sure.
get away from the milk, like cow's milk. I know a lot of people, oh, yeah, there's the signs again, but cow's milk has a lot of hormones in it that can disrupt your hormones as well. And so that adds to it. We don't drink cow's milk. I have to admit, we do like yogurt every now and then, but we don't eat that much of it. And again, mostly organic, non-hormonally treated. We have to, as a society, demand from companies, from farms, from pharmacy, actions away from profit, but actually really supporting a society within their health, to create a health system. Marianne Williamson says it really great within her running for president right now. She's like, we don't have a health system, we have a sick system. We only treat the sick, but we don't care about the health, actually. Because with the sickness, we can make money. With health, not so much.
Yeah.
And that is where I think, especially now, younger generation, where I call especially our generations to stand up and to demand justice for the way all those things have been used to manipulate us into believing we need that. And it's the only way we will survive and all those kind of things. It's just overall, I think we need more activists.
Awesome. Well, Isabel, it's been awesome having you on the show again today. For those, so where can people find your book, learn more about what you do, maybe get some coaching or something? What's your website?
Something to mention too, a lot of depression and anxiety is also related to trapped emotions, so things that we have suppressed for a very long time, or even generational. So what I actually do too is release some of those trapped emotions. I can do that remotely because the way I work. But how people can find me, the easiest way is my website, isabelhunt.com. It's ISABELHUNDT. People forget the D mostly, .com. But there you can find a link to my book, The Power of Faith-Driven Success. You can also look it up on Amazon. And there is other information how people can work with me. I do a lot of the emotions clearing work, which is very, it's very powerful work, especially when you do it, take it seriously and you really work with it. But yeah, and I'm always open for being booked for speaking as well.
Awesome.
That's all on my page, all the information.
Okay, well, I'll put a link down in the description. So, guys, definitely check out Isabel's website. I've took a lot of notes as well. So, Isabel.
I know. I saw you looking down over there on your right. I know you've been writing things for a while. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's been awesome to have you on the show. And, yeah, if you want to come back on and talk about social media or anything else, then always welcome.
Oh, you know I would.
We're going to have to do that for like, yeah. Okay, it's just July, so we got plenty of time. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much. And guys, tag someone, share this episode with someone who needs to hear Isabel's message today, pretty much everyone. But yeah, definitely do that. And if you like this episode, review it, leave us a review, sorry. And we will be back next Friday for another episode. So we will talk to you in now video. See you all then.
Perfect.
Did you find this episode helpful? If you did, please leave a review and don't forget to subscribe. New episodes of the Motivational Mentors podcast are available every Friday.